Hey YouTube, continuing on with my complete collections. I've moved on to the Squire. I've just done the Fender one just 10 minutes ago, and yeah, so again I've got a short scale bass and a guitar. I didn't know, same with the Epiphone, Gibson and Fender, it's like I had two of each. Who knew? Didn't intend it that way. So that's my Squire Bullet, which I will get on to. Again, I'm not going to talk about that one that much. So this is a Squire Mikey Way Mustang bass. Signed Mikey Way on the back, well, printed signature. It's basically just it's a Mustang bass. It's got a humbucker in it. I get the angle, you can actually see it reflecting off it. Yeah, so it's got like a humbucker instead of a Mustang pickup. It's got the metal plate, which the Music Master didn't have, to make it a Mustang. It's also got a 4 saddle bridge, which is a bit bigger. And it's never shown up in a picture, but it's the most amazing large sparkle flake colour. If anyone doesn't have a contact spray, that's what you use contact spray for. Electrical contact cleaner. So hopefully that won't buzz anymore. Yeah. Yeah, the strings on this are unfortunately a bit old. I need a bit of a scraping. They're kind of going rusty. But again, this was bought by my pal G, who bought it after we saw My Chemical Romance. He made me go. I didn't really want to go. I didn't really like the Black Parade album. It was alright. He's like, oh, they're playing at the Edinburgh Corn Exchange. So we went there. I think I drove. I think that was part of the deal, was I was driving so he could drink. And out came Mikey Way with this bass, and even the singer was like, "What do you think of Mikey's new bass?" And me and you were like, "Yes," because we had the Music Master, or I think I owned it at that time. So I "Oh, that's really cool." So I went in and tried one of these in Merchant City in Glasgow and was mighty impressed. They weren't that expensive. It was like 200 quid or something like that, maybe a bit more than that. And I decided not to buy it that day because I could get one sometime. Also, it's very similar to the Music Master. But it was a competition stripe. Really did it for me. A little bit disappointed it doesn't go round the sides, but I don't think the original ones probably did. Yeah, so up comes a couple of months later, G gets money from somewhere and is like, right, we'll go and buy one of those basses, and couldn't find one anywhere. And eventually he found one, I can't remember who he ordered it through, I think it might have been through Merchant City, and it was in a shop in Germany. So it was the last one in Europe that was still, you know, brand spanking new. You can obviously pick them up second hand, sort of. Yes, I had a bad experience. I bought one of these from eBay at some point after that, after G already had this one, and the guy was just a nightmare on eBay. He sent it to me, and he sent it in like a paper thin gig bag that had nothing on it, nothing, and he'd obviously sellotaped the label to a paper thin gig bag, and the label had fallen off. So, you know, a couple of weeks later I was like to my Hermes, like, the parcel never arrived. So I got they gave me the full value of the money back as compensation, and then 2 days later my Hermes guy arrived with this, and it was like purely because I put in the description Mikey Way, Squire Mikey Way. They'd obviously looked at it, and they had all these you know, the sort of lost parcels going on a guitar, and going, oh, it says Mikey Way in the headstock, it must be this one. And I got it, but it's basically just an asshole sold it to me on eBay, and it was in immaculate condition. So I got it, and it was covered in dents all over it, and like some of them were possibly quite newer dents, because, you know, it had like cracked, and you could see like sort of white cracks coming out from the dents. So they possibly could have been done by the fact that he put it into, you know, like a bin bag with a zip type thing. I mean, no box, no padding, nothing, just in the cheapest gig bag you can buy. But so quite a lot of the dents were like, you know, old and yellowed, so they'd been on it for months, you know, years. And it was like, look man, this was described as perfect condition. It's covered in dents, and his retort was, "My son's never taken it out the house. How dare you call me a liar?" And it's like, it's got hundreds of dents on it, and lots of them are old dents. It's like, but my son never took it out of the house. And it's like, well, if it's your first bass, which is possibly it was, and you try to say that when you first bought a guitar you didn't hit it off door frames and you didn't drop it and stuff, it doesn't happen to me anymore because I'm so used to just having, you know, dealing with a guitar. But anyone who's new to a guitar always hits it off the roof, off door frames, drops it, blah blah blah. It doesn't matter whether you take it out the house or not. So the guy was just totally unbudging, so I had to get money back for it, and then that kind of put me off it. And then a few years later, G got married and he's like, well, do you want to sell some basses for me? And he gave me his Les Paul bass. Did he give me his Thunderbird? He might have given me his Thunderbird as well, and this. And it was like, I'm sorry, I'm just going to have to sell that to me. So, hence I've still got it. It's got a little bit of a connection to it. Also, it says volume and tone the wrong way round, which it did when he got it, so I've just left it that way. It is still the correct way round though. Yeah, so I've done a few demos of this with a Bronco bass, and which I've never actually kept a Bronco bass. Bronco basses are really good. The thing I've got against Bronco basses is they're either black or red, and with a white scratch plate they kind of look cheap. I think through design they're meant to look cheap so that you buy a more expensive one. But I mean, the Bronco basses are fantastic basses, and really, to be honest, not very dissimilar to this. This does have a bigger bridge. It's got this metal bit. It's got a humbucker in it. It looks nicer, but not a huge difference. And this would be 2012 as well, so 2013. This one, Indonesia. The album that this is from, the Danger Days, is actually an excellent album. That's when I went to see My Chemical Romance, and I wasn't really that much of a fan. But then the new album was absolutely brilliant, and then obviously they split up after that. It's a shame. They did an amazing gig. I think it was the Reading Festival where they had Brian May up for a couple of songs, and it was fantastic. And it was like, My Chemical Romance are totally going somewhere. This is going to be fantastic. I'm looking forward to the next album. This is going to be great. And then their drummer did something really bad. I can't remember what it was he did. Did he record? He sneakily recorded like rehearsals for an album or something, and then put it out and sold it, sort of thing. It's like you're in effect stealing from the band, which obviously is an unforgivable thing. Yeah, so I don't really know what happened there. So if you compare this to the Music Master video, or the Fender Complete Collection video I did just 10 minutes ago, which would probably come out a couple of days ago, I've not touched anything. Everyone's exactly the same. I'm playing through the Marshall 150. I've not touched anything, so it's probably a bit louder because it's got a humbucker on it. This has got a satin feeling neck, which I'm not as keen on. No tone. Still got that slightly strange feeling E string. That's what you're making it. It's making something vibrate over there. So I changed it to a slightly different drum track. That actually sounds like a My Chemical Romance. Hey Mikey, what is it? Starts like that. All I can remember about the song that I'm trying to play is it starts in G. I can't remember what the song is. Oh, why did that record anything? I changed the riff as well by mistake. And then again, both amps, one with the fuzz on, one with the way it was before. Also, you can bend notes on the shorter scale, much easier than you can on a full-size bass. So this is actually turned into be a bit of a collector's item these days. I'd obviously I went the full My Chemical Romance and got this horrible strap with it. But as far as signature models go, I really like this one. Actually, I really like the Mikey Squire one as well, which I had for a month or something like that. Actually, I've used it in the band. Because although it does say Mikey Way on the back, yeah, okay, but it's not. Oh, that's only for My Chemical Romance fans. Who doesn't want a large flake sparkle with a competition stripe painted black headstock Mustang bass? It's just a really cool bass. I like it. I've used this in the Black Sabbath band, just at rehearsals and stuff like that. It performed admirably. Great. I don't think it's quite the right image for Black Sabbath, but I totally recommend getting one of these. If you're thinking about getting a bass for recording or something, why not get one that's just really cool? And they weren't expensive new. I think they've gone up a bit now. I think they're maybe more like sort of twice what they cost new. But Squire are really good at doing basses. I've been less impressed with their guitars, but of Squire basses, I don't think I've ever really had a Squire bass that I didn't think was really good. Like the P basses they do are just brilliant. This is a little bit more interesting. For me, I like things that are a little bit odd. So that is Squire Mikey Way bass, which a few folk have tried to buy this off me. It's not for sale. It's got some. If I did ever sell it, I'd be selling it back to the guy I got it off. If he ever changes his mind, I'm really more of its custodian, I suppose. But I just think this is it's a beautiful little thing, and. If it had a gloss neck on it, I would prefer that rather than the satin, but I mean, it's not that bad. Actually, I did a video relatively recently for an orange Mexican Mustang bass, and it was pretty cool as well, has to be said. It had like a PJ configuration. I don't know, it sounded great, but if you're going to have a Mustang, do you want a P-bass pickup in it? I don't know. The P-bass pickup looks kind of weird when you put it in a Mustang because the strings are much closer together, so it kind of looks too big for the guitar. The original Mustang had like a small size P-bass type pickup in it, This one's just got what looks like a pretty generic humbucker type thing, but it sounds pretty good, and I think stylistically, I think this is a total winner, and they should make more guitars like this. Doesn't necessarily need to be a signature model for something, but ones like these are just rocking. So we'll go on to my other Squire, which doesn't really count as a Squire, sort of. It kind of is. This is the 14th ever made Squire, because the serial number is SQ000014. Was it 16? 16th. Sweet little 16. I was going to call it that, but then that seems a bit creepy these days. So this is a Squire Bullet, made in Japan, made in the same factory as the Fender in there, so that's why it's kind of like, I'm thinking it is a Squire, because it does say Squire on it. But these were made, the Bullet was the idea of, it was going to be the new cheap model of Strat, and apparently they went to China, no not China, Korea, to make these, and they weren't happy with the result, so as a stopgap they just started producing Bullets in America, which were slightly different. They kind of made it like a Telly or a Strat, but so that you would still want to pay a bit more and get a real Telly or a real Strat. So this is kind of not actually that dissimilar to the shape of a Mustang. It's kind of got this, it's small this way, but it's just, but I think it's basically, it's a Mustang shape, apart from they've made these two cutouts a bit more, or a Duosonic, actually I did a video of a Duosonic yesterday. Basically the same, apart from these are a bit less deep, so it's kind of an original design. The American ones are quite different from this. So Telecaster headstock, very vintagey feeling, one piece neck. It's like, not only is it maple fretboard, it's a one piece, and this thing is in amazing condition considering how old it is. The pickups are not actually humbuckers, they're actually two single coils that are stuck in below this cover. So it does have these push button coil splits. So my looking at this is really a Duosonic that's does my coil adder thing. I do that with Strats quite a lot. I'll add in an extra pickup and then wire the two to get a humbucker. That's basically what this has got already in it, as standard. Yeah, so I was really impressed with this guitar when I got it. I bought this with a dodgy pickup switch. The guy said it was cutting in and out, and it's like it was the switch. I just bought another switch. But as soon as I just kind of picked it up and just went, I'm having to keep this one, haven't I? So I didn't make any money on it. That's it doing bass amp. So we've got single coil in the bridge. And that's a new switch. It's still crunchy. There's both of them. I'm really annoyed that switch is creaking, seeing as it's brand spanking new. I just bought it. I think the main difference is why I was feeling that I was talking about the Duosonic yesterday, feeling dead short scale. This is full scale, but the body's the same size and it's dead similar to a Duosonic, so it's basically a Duosonic, but if you look at it, actually it does look slightly out of proportion. It's like the proportion of this just looks right in a bass. It's just right, and the Duosonic just looks right. This, it's, now I'm looking at it just now in the viewfinder, it's like it does look a bit longer than it should be. So that's just when you reduce the size of the body and keep the neck the same size. Bridge humbucker. Bucker on the neck. I did put probably not the best thing to be playing Stratty stuff over it. It's quite techno-y sounding, isn't it? Rat pedal. Humbucker. Humbucker, single coil. I'm playing in G, I never play in G. Fuzz bass pedal. I think, to be honest, I would have been an awful lot more impressed when I got the real Fender had I not just bought this a few months beforehand. Being, although it's not a real Fender, it says Squire on it. If that's a real Fender, then this is a real Fender in my view, because it's made at the same factory and it's a very similar quality build, apart from that is full on Strat shape, whereas this is basically the same guitar but with a smaller body. Also, just after I got the Ibanez Blazer as well. Well, I got this, then the Blazer, so it's kind of my three strattiest Strats. I'm now looking at my Midi guitar. It feels different because it's got the Midi in it, even though it's still a Strat. So I took this in, managed to get this into the studio just before all this lockdown stuff happened, and I really enjoyed playing it live. live in the studio rehearsing. I really enjoyed playing it. It sounded fantastic. It kind of made me, we were playing a solo in one of our songs, and I kind of, for some reason, I seemed to channel Leonard Skinner, and I seemed to be sounded very much like Leonard Skinner on it, which was always a good thing. And I prefer running it as 2 single coils like a Geosonic rather than the 2 humbuckers, because then it gives you the sort of Fender cleany sounds. Actually sounds very similar to my Japanese Strat. It's definitely in the Fender camp with having a sort of vintagey pickups in it. I do think it's quite amusing it's got these pickups in it as well, which are basically just 2 single coils, opposite wind, opposite polarity single coils, wired in together in below one cover, which I think made sense when they were doing the American, the first, I think they made American ones for a year. I don't think they made this exact model. There was kind of one that was a bit more telly shaped, and there's one that's got like 3 pickups like a Strat. I don't think they made this exact sort of 2 humbucker one, but I can see why they did this. It's like, right, we want to put humbuckers in it because it's a modern guitar. We've got a big container load of single coil pickups. I've got an idea, let's try and make it, we'll use up those single coil pickups and just make a plastic cover to make humbuckers, which kind of makes sense if you're talking about, you know, you're in an American factory. But if you're going to Japan and they're getting to build them from scratch, they're obviously just having to make these pickup covers rather than just put the humbucker in, which seems a bit excessive. I like it. Hardtail as well. Just another reason I should probably put a new bridge block into the Strat, so it's got a tremolo on it, whereas this one doesn't have the option for a tremolo. It's not, I'm quite a wee bit disappointed it's not through strung, but I mean, look at the condition of this thing. For being 1982 or 1983, so it's like, it's 40 years old, and it just looks like brand new. I love the Telecaster headstock. I'm not sure how these. It's also got Fender Japan tuners, which are what the original ones are meant to look like, but there appears to be filled in holes from where it's had other tuners on it. So I wonder if somebody had this and then put locking tuners on it, or really expensive tuners on it, and then when they went to sell it, they put the original ones back on it. I think that's what's happened, because that's what the original ones are meant to look like. So fantastic little guitar. My Squire collection it's just the 2 of them again, but the 2 I don't want to sell. They're both fantastic. And it's kind of, you know, if I get asked what are the best guitars, and it's like, well, the best guitars, obviously in my opinions, are the ones I've still got. You know, so you can look at it, like, I mean, I've had many Squires through, and just kind of fixed them up and sold them on, and it's like, occasionally I get a guitar through that I just go, right, well, that's not really for. I look for any sort of justification to keep it. I don't know how I'm justifying this, just because it's rare, I suppose. And I got the Fender because I wanted that for my my demos, and I'm keeping the Ibanez Blazer because I told the guy that I was going to keep it because I got it for such a stupid low price. I could easily have bought it, cleaned it up and sold it for 10. I could have sold it for 20 times what I paid for it. Yeah, it needed a good clean up. I think I had to replace the jack socket, and it wasn't very well painted. But I mean, you know, really it's between 10 and 20 times what I sold it for 10 times what I paid for it really easily. And the guy was so nice about it that he was like, I've had quite a lot of phone calls. This is quite a big one. And I was like, yeah, don't worry. I've wanted one of these for a while. I'm not selling it, so I kind of had to keep it. Which I wanted to do anyway. It's a really good guitar. That's the problem. I've got so many really good guitars. It's like ones that I really like. It's like, if I didn't really like them, I would probably have sold them, is the answer. So, half an hour again. Okay, I don't know what day this will be going up, but rock on, stay safe, and if I've not already done the Sunday talkie thing, I'll be doing the Sunday talkie thing again, so join in and ask questions. And I was really enjoying it last week. I kind of got a bit I got a wee bit lost at one point, and I sort of, people said I ended it a bit abruptly, which I probably did, but I think going on for more than an hour. I don't know. I'll see what happens. Just wing it as usual. Not really anything particular to talk about during it or anything like that. Rock on.